Hi, this is John Byrne of Poets and Quants. Welcome to our alumni interview at CentreCourt. Today we have a great candidate. He just graduated, in fact, and he's about to start a great job at Citi. His name is Brandon Adamson. He graduated from Fordham University's Gabelli School of Business, and he is starting at Citi in the Global Consumer Banking Management unit as an associate. Brandon, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. So tell us a little bit about why you chose to go to Fordham and what your experience was like there.
Sure, absolutely. So choosing to go to Fordham was actually an easy decision. During a lot of I went to a few of the open house events. They had some admitted students event and some committed students events. And in those events, just speaking with the people, it was a very intimate, personable, and genuine environment. And this is no, shade or anything to any other school, but it just felt very different when I was in that space. And for me, I went to a small liberal arts college in Ohio, even though I'm here from New York. And there was a very small teacher to student ratio. And I realized that that's a particularly good learning environment for me. So I was looking for a school that can kind of mirror that learning environment. And Fordham was able to do so, not just by accident, but by design. So in addition to the genuity I felt from the people around me and being able to have that personal relationship with my professors, Fordham was such an easy choice.
That's great. And I should mention to everyone, Brandon is one of our best and brightest MBA grads of the year. Congratulations, incidentally.
Thank you.
That's quite an honor because we only pick 100 in the world.
Yes.
And you're among the 100.
Very honored.
We had hundreds and hundreds of nominations, so that's a real feather in your cap. So tell me what the experience at Fordham was like, and were there surprises for you in going to business school and getting your MBA?
Sure. The experience, it was a whirlwind, honestly, and it was very transformative. These last 2 years, I don't even know who I was now, those 2 years prior to going to business school, now that I've had this experience. But what I would say is that from start, it was very intense. It was very intense. And we started in August of 2018 in something called Gabelli Launch. So it was pre-class, but we had this huge month-long, very intensive project where we were doing cultural agility, we were doing professional development, we were doing analytics bootcamp. And a part of that was a consulting project where we actually went to a global immersion project. We worked with a company in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So it was very interesting to walk in. First day, you see your name on a table with a group of other people, and they're like, "Hey, this is who you'll be working with for the next year." And not just for the next year, but in 8 days, you'll be in South America working with a company, and you need to figure out a solution for the problem that they have. Wow, so just from the start, it was very, very high, fast-paced, and intense. But the experience, it was never sink or swim, which I really enjoyed about Fordham. It was very, hey, you have to do this, but we'll give you the tools and how to do this. So having not necessarily a handhold, but someone you can rely on in the event that you didn't feel super confident in what you were doing was very helpful and supportive.
I'm surprised they throw you in the water so quickly.
It was fast.
Even before you get the core curriculum of accounting and, finance and strategy and things like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Were there surprises for you in that program? I mean, maybe how quickly they tossed you in the water, whether you could swim or not, maybe that was a surprise.
Yeah, sorry, you did ask about that. So the surprises, honestly, and this surprise, what I would say is a good surprise, because when you think business school, especially, reputable, good business schools, you think this is a Shark Tank, right? You think people are cutthroat. You think this is an environment where everyone's out for themselves. And I did not experience that for one day at all at Fordham. If anything, it was a very friendly, competitive environment, but supportive competitive environment. We all knew that everybody maybe wanted the same job, but no one felt like they had to step on someone else to get that job. So it was that friendly competition helped by ways of being able to lean on your peers when it came to prepping for interviews and things of that nature, even if they may have actually been interested in the same role. So I would say I was surprised to know that Fordham really did provide the values of ethics, excellence, and community throughout the program.
That's great. So when you think about the culture of the place and the MBA program, if you had to think of 3 words that would describe what that culture was like, what would they be?
Interesting. I would say family,
Oh,
support,
hmm.
passion.
Yeah. Uh, the size of the entering class is roughly how many?
So my entering class was 57 people.
So you get to know everyone pretty well then, right?
Correct, correct.
So that makes me understand why your first word was family. Uh,
Yes, absolutely.
57 people going through a boot camp-like experience and bonding over it.
Exactly.
I would think that makes you pretty supportive of each other.
Exactly. Very, very much so.
Was it harder than you expected it to be?
Absolutely. I was trying to find another word for absolutely, but absolutely would be the word. And in a good way. The work in itself was hard. It was challenging. But I believe the hardest part was understanding how to balance it all. They want you, you want to be able to do well in school. You want to network. You want to go to the events. You want to get out off campus to also meet people that may be alumni or in your industry, your target industry. So I think finding that healthy balance was probably the hardest part. At some point, that first semester, I was on campus maybe about 15 hours a day. And mostly because I lived so far, I didn't want to leave and have to come back. But I literally was there from about 9 to 11 at night, just about every day, other than Fridays for the most part.
And the campus is in Manhattan, right?
Correct.
And actually, in a very nice area of Manhattan,
Very nice. Very nice.
near Lincoln Center, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's right. Um, so, Brandon, what was your favorite class?
This is a hard one because I would say this is a hard one because I had a favorite class after my first year and then I had another favorite class after my second year. But I would say the two would be my strategy course, and which is my first year, which just gives you an in-depth experience or in-depth approach to how to address companies, how to really break things down and approach problems. And then during my second year, my leadership communication class was literally mind-blowing. I learned so much about how I communicate and how others communicate, and essentially how to alter that communication, being that people do have different ways of going about it.
Yeah, that's great. And your strategy class, was that a core requirement?
Yes.
And the leadership class, was that elective or not?
That was an elective.
Yeah, that's great. Huh. Now, Brandon, did you know that you wanted to go into banking when you stepped foot on campus, or is that something that evolved during your time in the program?
So I would say it was definitely of a high interest to me, and that it definitely evolved during the program. I had a general interest in banking, consulting, and some tech. So a lot of my first semester was doing a lot of informational interviews with people in those industries, trying to understand what their day-to-day looks like, what I need to have to be marketable in this space. So I would say banking did hold a close place to my heart, but I was somewhat open at the beginning.
Right. How helpful was the school in guiding you through that career choice, and helping you set up, the networks or the connections that you ultimately got you your job at Citi? I see you also interned at JP Morgan Chase.
This is true.
Yeah.
I would say extremely, extremely helpful. One thing that I really loved about the Career Development Center, we have something called the Gabelli Career Network. Mm-hmm. And literally, and I'm actually looking forward to signing up for it. It's just a bunch of alumni who they provide you the calendar. You kind of see what their resume or what their experience is, and you can just pick a time on their slot that they have available. And I've had the opportunity to speak with MDs and partners at Accenture and different places that otherwise I feel I would have been limited in. Right. So Fordham does a lot in bridging that gap. What I would say is sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming because we have access to so many tools. Sometimes I felt like I wasn't using the best, getting the best use of every tool. Either I was using this and not using the vault, or I was using economics. So it was very high stress and making sure you get the best out of everything you have at your disposal.
I bet. A lot of people have described the MBA experience as like drinking from a fire hose.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I get a sense that was true for you too.
Absolutely.
And Brandon, were you very much involved in co-curricular activities at Fordham?
So, yes. So part of my, yes, to answer your question, part of my experience, a lot of my experience there, I was working in the admissions department. So I was a admissions and recruiting specialist, in which I interviewed, hosted events, met with admitted students, committed students, prospective students. And so that did take a lot of my time, but I did find time to join certain clubs like the Management Consulting Club. And I was also the president of the Black and Hispanic MBA Association. So very involved on campus, and they all fell within a certain sphere. They all kind of had their own place, but since Fordham was so tight-knit, they all kind of worked with each other in a way.
Yeah, that's great. What's your advice to someone who might be interested in going to Fordham? What should they do?
It's a great question. I would say actually go to Fordham physically, or get a chance to actually speak to some alumni or current students, because the culture of the business school is a big deal. You'll be spending 2 years here and a lot of time with your peers, and you want to make sure that, not make sure because you can always try to stretch your comfort zone, but you want to make sure that you're in a space that you can thrive best in, and that you're not either struggling to keep up or you're just over excelling in that same space. You want to find that niche of what's best for you. So I would say get there, speak to the people, understand that Fordham is very, very strong on the ethics and value portion, very strong on that. So knowing that this is a drive for us, knowing that that fits with what you do would be a great start.
Good advice. Brandon, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
And good luck to you in your career at Citi.
Thank you.
We'll be watching you.
I hope so. I'll be staying tuned.
You keep in touch, okay?
Will do. Thanks. Have a good one.
All right. That's Brandon Adamson, who just graduated from Fordham University's Gabelli School of Business and on his way to a great job at Citi, in the city itself, right?
This is true. Yes, in the city.
Perfect place to work. New York is the center of the universe.
Yes, it is. It is. I was happy to get back. I interned at JP in Texas, and although I loved it, I was like, I have to get back. I have to get back.
All right. Thanks so much. And this is John Brenner with Poets and Quants. Thanks for watching.